And it's KTAR's Talk the Vote Live Election 2012. We have breaking news. Sheriff Joe Arpaio has been reelected and will maintain his seat as Maricopa County Sheriff. He was taking on Paul Penzone, who was a formidable foe. He also was looking at a lot of public outlash. Really, he was not a very popular sheriff in a lot of people's eyes in this state, and it looked like he was vulnerable. And as we predicted on our show, Winey, he marched to victory.
Well, you know, and what made Penzone such a formidable foe was the fact that he was able to raise millions of dollars outside of the state of Arizona, which we know that Sheriff Joe has that reputation. I think
Sure.
he raised $7 million, and the majority of that was from outside donors. But here's what we know: nothing's changed from when we woke up this morning. President Obama now is, unofficially but officially reelected as the President of the United States. The Republicans maintain hold of the House, and the Democrats maintain, the Senate. So what do we have? We got Sheriff Joe reelected, which I voted for him. I support him. However, though, immigration 1071, everything's going to be back in play, and it's going to be a wild and crazy next 4 years.
But isn't it time, Winey, for a change? Don't you see that there is an expiration date on any elected official? Now, I'll be completely honest here. I voted for Sheriff Joe, but when I was voting for Sheriff Joe, I thought maybe I need to vote for a change here. Maybe I needed to vote for a fresh perspective, not only for the state of Arizona, not only for the way the rest of the country looks at the state of Arizona, but I don't see a whole lot getting better with illegal immigration, with crime in general. I want to see something move. I want a fresh set of eyes. But what ultimately made me vote for Sheriff Joe Arpaio was I know what I'm getting.
Well, not only do you know what you're getting, but when we wake up tomorrow morning and we take a look at all the election results across the country, this is what we're going to find out. Everybody may talk about wanting change and wanting something fresh, wanting something new, but pretty much everything across the board is staying the same. Just about in all the states, the Senate races, congressional races, and so forth. So I think it's just a symbol, and it's a symbolism of, with taking a look at Sheriff Joe with the mood of the entire country. Everybody right now seems to be okay with the status quo.
Let's face it, Sheriff Joe isn't getting any younger. He is going to be well into his 80s after this run at sheriff.
He turns 142 next week.
I don't think he's going to be running again. You never know, but I think it will be his last term as sheriff of Maricopa County, and I think it might be refreshing for Arizona to step into a change.
Well, I think you bring up a good point. With Sheriff Joe, there's no surprises. We all know what we're getting. And obviously, when you take a look at the results tonight, the majority of Arizonans, those in Maricopa County, like what they have. They don't feel like they need change. They feel very comfortable. And I think there is great comfort for us knowing what we're getting.
Right, and what we got to see was a Paul Penzone. We got to see a new candidate, a viable candidate. We got to get to know someone who might be in the running to ultimately take over for Sheriff Joe Arpaio. And I will tell you, looking at both of their records, I wasn't afraid of Penzone being sheriff at all. So it gives me an optimistic outlook at the next chapter in Maricopa County Sheriff.
But how I started, and taking a look at the money and where the money's coming from, for the fact that Penzone was able to raise so much money outside of our border, shows you that Arizona is going to still be on the map in the next 4 years. There's going to be a lot of battles over immigration, and whether you think it's a good idea or a bad idea, we are still the bullseye for the nation when it comes down to immigration.
And Sheriff Joe is our sheriff of Maricopa County for another term. He has won re-election tonight. Thank you for tuning in. This has been KTAR's Talk the Vote Live, Election 2012.